Good afternoon. We have another edition of the Continuum podcast. This is episode 14. My name is Josh Wickman. I'm your host. I have a very special guest with me today. This is Craig Goldberg um, of inHarmony, and we are really excited to have him. Very interesting background, doing a lot of great things, and he's all over. You'll see him talking inHarmony Interactive. Really cool, and we're really excited to have you. So thanks for joining, Greg. Greg.
It's an absolute pleasure to be here, and I appreciate you, Josh. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. So I guess we'll just get started here. Um, just with the basic, just can you just walk me through your background and what originally pulled you into the wellness and biohacking world here?
Yeah, totally. All right. Well, first and foremost, I think the number one credential I have in this space is that I'm a human being, having this beautiful and incredible shared human experience that we all enjoy every single day. I don't know about you, but I didn't get a manual when this whole thing started. And I got chills as I said manual because my parents live with me and they didn't get a manual when they started this life. My grandparents didn't get a manual. I'm lucky enough to know all four of my grandparents. We're all just here trying to figure it out. We talk about human optimization, and all I can do is tell you what works for me. I can tell you what we've learned through the science and research that we've done, which I'm deeply dedicated to. And I'm really just a human being trying to make the most out of this life and trying to cope with the day-to-day struggles that I feel every single day. And my business partner Dominic and I have created a series of tools that have been very beneficial to both of us. We've been lucky enough to share them with the world over the last decade. And we've found tens of thousands of people that have found solace and knowledge and comfort in the power of sound and vibration. And I think you brought up as we were kind of getting ready in the green room, you were talking about human optimization and I was reflecting on what that even means for me as a human. And it's really just about getting through life as life is lifing harder and harder every single day, and a series of tools to optimize my own performance so that I can be the best father, the best husband, the best business partner, the best friend as I'm helping my buddy who's having endless issues with his RV. And I just picked him up in between two podcasts and picked him up and gave him a ride. All the different things that are thrown at us each and every day to simply be the best human that we can. And that's what human optimization means for me. You can apply that to being an entrepreneur, being a dad, being a partner, being a family man, whatever you want for optimal human performance. When you're cool, calm, and collected, you show up in the best version of yourself to whatever that task is, whether you're an Olympian or a weekend warrior, or you like to meditate or do yoga or whatever it is. That human optimization to me speaks to being at the core, the human experience, and showing up the best we possibly can be every single day.
That's a great way of putting it, Greg. And I mean, everyone, you rarely see on a day-to-day basis, whether it's at work when you're taking your dog for a walk, whether you're at the grocery store, whatever, wherever you are on a day-to-day basis, you don't realize you see the surface of everybody, and most people have a smile on their face. I'd like to think at least. Maybe I'm in Chicago. Sometimes, people are in a hurry, and maybe that's not the case, right? But overall, but overall, people are friendly in person. You never really know, and I've thought about this before, what someone's going through, because everyone's going through something, and if they say they're not, then they're lying, So, and it doesn't have to be, deep, and it doesn't have to be, you know, hurt or pain at all times, but everyone is going through something, so that's a great way of looking at it.
Let me let me
It's
let me just dig into that real quick
Yeah,
because
yeah. Let's dig into it.
look, I have a 6-year-old, okay,
Hmm.
and I am both a father and a son. Whew, this is gonna get emotional. My father is both a father and a son, and I'm lucky enough to have known my grandfather, my dad's dad, real well. Um, and here I am working with trauma, helping people work through their own trauma using our technology and sound and vibration and living a healthy life, optimized life. And I want to create this world for my daughter where she knows no trauma. And that is futile. That is near impossible. Um, my daughter asks for ice cream before dinner, and I have to say no. Not because I want to, but because you're a 6 year old and of course you want ice cream. But no, we're having dinner in an hour and you have no concept that dinner's coming up and you're going to spoil your appetite. But I need to do that for you. And just me saying no to ice cream can be a traumatic experience for my daughter. Now, I make light of that, but I don't think any of us get out of childhood without some level of trauma. You mentioned we're all going through something. What I'm going through that I find struggle and strife with may look like child's play to you. You may be like, what are you talking about? That's what you're stressed about. Let me help you with that, right? Or vice versa. You might look at what I'm going through and think, "Oh, I cannot even believe how you deal with that on a day-to-day basis. That must be the most traumatic thing." And I might just be whistling Dixie, like, no, this is, what do you mean? This is just, I got this. This is a piece of cake. All of that to me comes back to the nervous system response, comes back to the conditioning of that nervous system. You as a human, conditioning your nervous system, we can handle a lot. And I truly don't believe God serves us anything that we can't handle and anything that we can't dig down and get past. That struggle, that strife makes us stronger. We can talk about stress and its impact on the nervous system, but it's from that struggle that we get stronger and overcome and become a better human every single moment of the day, whether people from the outside looking in can see what we're struggling with, or we're struggling with something mentally or emotionally. That is all just perspective. Tony Robbins once said, if we took all of our stuff and our bad stuff and threw it into a pile, and we had a chance to pick and choose what we would take back, you would take back your stuff because at least it's my stuff and I understand it. I know it. I understand it. I know how to navigate it. I don't want to try and navigate what you're navigating, but I'm conditioned to handle what I am conditioned to handle. So I think that's a really important perspective too.
Absolutely. Was there a personal experience that sparked your interest in this adventure that you've chosen, this road that you've chosen?
Of course.
Hmm.
Absolutely. Look, I'm a human. People ask how I got into this, and I'm like, what do you mean? I was a stressed out human being. I had no idea how stressed I was until I actually got on my first sound lounge experience, had my first experience, felt deep relaxation, and went, oh, this is different. Oh, this is this is different. And it's that first person perspective of what deep relaxation actually felt. I felt like $1 million. I woke up from my first Sound Lounge experience feeling like I've made it. This is great. I found a tool that's going to help me to be the best version of myself I can be, and I got it on tap. And all I have to do is lay down, put on headphones, an eye mask, and push play on an app. I found the secret. I unlocked the code. And since then I've been deep into the science and the research of what's called vibroacoustic therapy, vibro vibration, acoustic sound. So it's the study of sound and vibration and its impact on our anatomy, our physiology, our neurology. And I've been very lucky to be surrounded by incredible, I mean, incredible doctors, phenomenal labs that have incredible tools that can actually monitor and test what's actually happening in the physiological and biochemical response of the body before, during, and after a sound lounge session. And a big part of what we do is a dedication to bringing this science and research to the public, the FDA, these three-letter agencies, and having conversations about understanding more and more about the power of sound and vibration on our physiology. And I really feel like I unlocked the cheat code to life. And I get to share that every single day with folks like you and, of course, your audience as well.
That's amazing. As far as a passion of yours, for simply being a human, turning it into a business, and working with incredible doctors with incredible technology that has helped yourself and others. It's
I
truly
feel very
amazing.
blessed.
Yes, no, that is a blessing in itself, Greg. And as far as the wellness and optimization space, has exploded, for lack of a better term, over the last several years. I guess from your perspective, what's changed the most that you've experienced and that you've seen firsthand?
So look, I turned 47 on Tuesday. Okay, coming into my 48th year of life, and what a what an interesting time to be here
Happy
on.
early birthday.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yep, yep.
Like what a wonderful time to be here over the last 47 years. Think of all of the technological advancements we've made, let alone AI in the last 3, 4 years. But
Hmm.
like, I remember when there was just a kitchen phone. I've spoken to my dad about what it was like growing up without a phone. I've had a cell phone since I'm 18, same phone number actually since I'm 18. Like what a blessing that is to have computers come on the scene. The first Commodore 64 in my classroom in second grade to where it has come today, where this is more powerful than the first computer. And this is in my pocket every single day. Like, what a wild time. So I have this saying, and it's technology got us into this mess. Technology can get us out. And there's a lot of different inflection points for that. But like when I was a kid, I never remember my parents being like, we're going on a retreat in Costa Rica. Like that wasn't a thing. Maybe it was for Hollywood and some of the elites. I'm not saying that it was invented in the last 40 years, but like
Yeah.
now we have all of these retreat centers and people are going to actually disconnect from the world and that's like a thing. So this trend in the marketplace is this onslaught of technology that we are now surrounded with. Yeah, there's doom scrolling and distraction and all sorts of negative things that come of that, but largely this technology has blessed us with more capabilities, with an easier life in a lot of ways. And tracking that through generations, I think is really interesting. Understanding what we know now about consciousness, plant medicines, consciousness exploration, learning more and more about quantum physics, which also wasn't even a thing when I was a kid. It was like chemistry, biology, physics, but like quantum physics wasn't a thing. Quantum computing, AI. I mean, I consider myself a technologist and somebody that I lean into technology and its capabilities. And at the same time, I have my roots in that optimal human performance. That includes sun exposure. It includes getting my feet in the dirt for grounding. It includes a great night's sleep. Yes, sound and frequency is a big part of that, but hyperbaric chambers, PEMF, hot and cold therapy. Like we've watched this entire industry kind of blossom and bloom around us over the last 5 to 8 years. We've been doing inHarmony for 10 years. So we've been focused on the power of sound and vibration, which, by the way, that entire science has been around since the mid 1970s, 55 years. So I think it's been really fun to watch from the outside and from the inside out how these different technologies have come about to help the human condition be the human condition and condition the human body better. We have a red light. We do red light therapy, and look, human beings should be outside 85% of the day. That's laughable, right? Like, when was the last time you were out 85% of the day that wasn't a vacation day or a day where you were on the beach or the lake or someplace outside? For most of us, that's also fleeting. So for us to have these technologies that can help to balance the human experience today, which is right now it's 90 degrees outside, but it's 72 degrees in here. Air conditioning and heat keeps me at a great temperature, but I'm also out of sunlight. I'm lucky enough to have dual pane, treated glass that blocks out. Believe it or not, plants don't do well in my house, and neither do humans because of it.
Hmm.
We need access to sunlight. We need access to sound and vibration. The oldest vibratory tool on the planet is right here, the throat and the larynx, the throat, the voice box. We've been singing, dancing, and chanting for millennia. And the power of what that does to re-regulate the nervous system is really powerful. inHarmony is just a new rendition of an old technology of toning, sound, and vibration. So it's kind of fun to study where we've come and what's developed around us and why this entire biohacking movement is even a thing is simply because we're not living the same lifestyle that we used to live or were originally designed for. We were designed to sleep on a cave floor and rise with the sun and rest with the sunset. And it's just really interesting to see all these technologies come about that are really just designed to mimic what we can already grasp in nature at no charge, because that's the way we're supposed to live and have been conditioned to live. So I like studying the balance between what's happening in the nervous system, what's happening in technology, what's happening with these different tools that we can invest in. And I get that they're an investment, but all of that is really just to mimic what we could be doing for free every single day: sunlight, grounding, breathing, that sort of thing.
Absolutely. And I think that the concept of, what our nervous system needs, versus, how we use technology and how we utilize technology. I think that it takes some discipline as far as everyone who can control um how you utilize technology. Because I doom scroll social media sometimes. I think most people do at some
Of
point,
course. And
but
anybody who tells you they don't is probably lying.
exactly. So I think that, and then it's all about like, 'cause then I'll catch myself in the act and I'll think about like, wow, what other things could I have been doing? Like probably a lot of other things, but then it's a balance like anything in life. And I think that
For sure.
the technology, it's so powerful and it has so many positives. I think you just have to try to cancel out the negatives and control the controllables. And that's what I think, something I've been trying to, because I have an 18-month-old too. And
Oh,
we
you're
don't
in
have
it.
another one on. Yeah, yeah, right. We don't have another one on the way yet, but we're in the city. We've been in the
Oh, you're
city for
gonna double
12 years.
down. Good
Yeah,
for
yeah,
you.
we're in the city for 12 years, and we want to move to the suburbs, and the market's crazy. And so I mean, listen, and then you think about like that struggle, and like, is it okay? Yes, it's a struggle, but like you think about like all the other people that are struggling with a lot more serious stuff than that. And
I
you
don't know. I
just
think parents, my hat's off to parents, man.
yeah,
It's
yes,
not
no, it's not.
parenthood this day and age is not for everybody.
No,
And
it's not.
it's a whole new understanding when you've got that 18-month-old that needs you in the middle of the night and you want nothing
Yes.
more than to be there, but you're thinking about a meeting or a podcast or something, and you're just like, not right now, and yes, right now, and whatever you need, I'm here to serve. It's the ultimate blessing
It
indeed.
really is. And again, there's no manual for that too. Like, and obviously, my wife and I work together, and we have our things that we, and whatever agreements, but disagreements. But yeah, I think so. So that's a
Healthy
great way of,
conversations.
yes, exactly. And that's a great way of looking at it. And I mean, do you think consumers are starting to become more proactive about their health in general? And that
Absolutely.
could mean physical, mental, emotional. And I think I know the answer to that. You do too. But how do you think they're doing that? You
All right,
know?
look, I think there's a number of key factors that add into that. Look, say what
Hmm.
you want about the pandemic. And by the way, we can have a deep conversation about that another time. I think
Yep.
that's been exhausted.
Yep.
The pandemic was really kind to us. inHarmony. So this is our zero gravity recliner that's behind me for anybody who's watching on video. It's and if you're not, it's a recliner. It has tactile transducers in it. It's basically a delivery system for sound and frequency to the body. That's the technology that my company
Hmm.
proliferates, creates. We're fully vertically integrated, and that's what we do. Laying on this is what delivers sound and frequency to the body and vibration and what calms and relaxes the nervous system. It's the primary delivery system for everything that we do. It's an experience. And we started doing this in 2016, and I was predominantly at events. 3 events a week. I would set up and break down the sound lounge as often as I needed to put as many people on it every week to experience it before I had the capacity to even talk about and understand what was happening. Before we ran any tests, I was just reading, at the time, research that was 40 years old. And now, 10 years later, it's 50, 55 years old, and we're doing our own science and research. But the pandemic was really kind to us in that all the events stopped. And now all of a sudden, in order to keep pushing forward with this company, I needed to figure out a way to explain and share this technology with the world. And that was through video, long form podcasts explaining what was going on. So it forced me to go online. Now, up until 2020, I knew just about all of our customers. I was out there doing business development. It was just me and my business partner at the time, and I knew everybody who bought a sound lounge. In fact, when an order came through our website that I didn't recognize, it was like a big celebration. Like somebody just bought our technology sight unseen, usually from a referral of somebody they knew that had one. But regardless, that didn't happen. Now our website dings all day long, and I don't know who anybody is because they're watching our videos, our content, or one of our 900 affiliates introduced them to it. Like I feel very blessed. 11,000 app users as of today. Like, to your point, I think a lot of people are looking to take their own health and wellness into their own hands. And don't get me wrong, our medical system is great. There's a lot of bad things I can say about it, treating symptoms, not treating the root cause. Yes, there's a lot that's there, but as far as acute injury, my daughter broke her arm on May 4th. That was like 15 days ago, 2 weeks ago. We went to the ER, and the ER did a great job of resetting her bone, and she's now in a cast and went to Children's Bone and Spine here in Vegas. And We looked at x-rays and we could see her bone was healing perfectly and she had a cast on it. Like a cast is technology, right? It's just
Yeah.
it's medical care that we didn't have, 50 years, 100 years ago. And now we're setting her bone and using x-rays to look at it and getting imagery of this is incredible. So, like everything else that progresses through the medical community, preventative care and understanding the power of sound and vibration to me goes back to regulating the nervous system. And when you look at the top 10 reasons why Americans die of all cause mortality, so we're not looking at any particular, but reasons why Americans die, 6 out of the top 10 reasons why Americans die are rooted in stress and anxiety. You remove the stress and anxiety, those reasons for all cause mortality go away. Think of heart disease, think of, right? I mean, there's just so many different aspects, not to mention stress further exacerbates so many different chronic ailments and chronic issues because you're spending more time in sympathetic nervous system response than you are in a parasympathetic nervous system response. And when you're in sympathetic nervous system response, aka survival mode, your body has a different set of priorities than when it's in parasympathetic or rest and digest, aka maintenance mode. And when your body's maintaining itself, killing off dead cells, keeping itself calm and collected, clearing out amyloid plaque, and doing all the things the brain needs to do, it's not doing that when it's in survival mode. It's not doing that when you feel stressed and anxious. And sound and vibration is a passive, feel good way for you to recognize you're in that stress state, regardless of what the input is or the stimuli that put you there. Lay down, put the headphones on, give yourself a 22-minute reset. You wake up feeling calm and collected. You can even hear the change in my voice. You wake up feeling calm. You can handle what's being thrown at you. You have your prefrontal cortex with blood flow again, which means rational thinking and logical thinking is turned back on. And all of a sudden, you have the mental acuity and agility to perform at your best because your body is now in that relaxed and rested state. And you can now take on the world again, regardless of what's being thrown your way. It's the equivalent of waking up after a great night's sleep and waking up, Dad, after a not so great night's sleep.
Yep.
You can do it for 6 months. You could do it for a year. You could probably do it for 2 or 3 years. Bless your beautiful heart. I wish you could tell you that 18 months you're done. My daughter
Yeah.
is 6. Woke up last night at 1:30 in the morning and she climbed into my bed and she was like, Daddy, I want to cuddle. And I was like, no problem, kiddo. Let's
Yeah.
go.
Well, that's being a great dad, but I think a few a lot of key points there. But the difference between fight or flight versus rest and digest is huge, and
Huge.
it adds up over the course of time. And I've seen it. My wife has had some health issues, and it's night and day. I can tell right away. She doesn't have to say anything. I can just tell.
Yeah.
Fight or flight versus rest and digest. That is the key. Like you said, and I think that's so important to be in that parasympathetic nervous system. To be using that part of your brain and I think that improves really everything about your life. And I think that you know, like your research and experience suggests that the more you're in that mode, the more you are in rest and digest, the better off you're going to be in every facet of life. And that's professionally, that's personally, that's being a dad, being a partner, being a friend, a son, all the hats that we wear, Craig,
Yeah.
like you've talked about. So it,
So let's talk
yeah.
about that for a second,
Hmm.
okay?
Yeah.
So stress is a good thing. I do not want to get rid of stress.
Right.
That's not my goal, right?
Right.
Stress makes you stronger. I got a bunch of stories I could share with you about that are recent and older. But like stress
Hmm.
in general is a good thing, and we need stress. It actually helps us to grow.
Hmm.
It's how we react to that stress, and it's what that cue for that stressful situation is: physical, mental, emotional, relational, nutritional, financial. All of these triggers for stress, the body only has one response, and that's the sympathetic nervous system response. The physical is really easy. You're being threatened, you're a big guy, you walk into the car, you got your daughter or your son with you, and all of a sudden out the corner of your eye, your spidey sense goes off and there's a guy with a hood, right? He might be coming after you. He might just be walking to his car. But either way, your nervous system recognizes that pattern, triggers that sympathetic nervous system response, and you go into that fight or flight mode. So you can either fight him or run with your daughter. And hopefully you're going to run first and fight second. That's a totally separate conversation.
Hmm.
But regardless of that stress, the body and your nervous system is constantly looking for those threats. And when you're looking for something, you find it. So even in the most serene and peaceful scenario, there's a part of your nervous system that is looking for a threat, identifying a pattern that it doesn't recognize, and triggering that sympathetic nervous system response. Now, when that sympathetic nervous system response happens, there's a biochemical reaction, increased cortisol, increased adrenaline. The adrenaline diverts energy from your brain, the major muscle groups, digestion, reproductive organs, the immune system, all of that. You only have a finite amount of energy. And how much energy do you want to fight or run? You want all of it. So you're diverting energy by turning off these maintenance mode processes in the body and diverting that energy to the major muscle groups of the body so you can fight or run. There's an increase in cortisol, which increases your attention so that you could be hyper focused on whatever that threat is so that you don't get distracted with the to-do list and the other things you got to do. And you stay focused on the guy in the hoodie or whatever the situation is. Unfortunately, the brain uses 20% of your energy every single day is used by the brain. And it's in thinking, like debating, deciding. It's that prefrontal cortex that is making decisions every single day. That turns off. We see that through prefrontal cortex blood flow analysis that we can actually do before, during, and after a session. And we actually see that when the prefrontal cortex is drained of energy and drained of blood flow, you're actually in that sympathetic nervous system response. And we can see right after a session, the blood flow comes right back into that prefrontal cortex, indicating that you're in that parasympathetic state of mind or nervous system response. So we can see this very clearly. Your brain might turn off and your nervous system when you're in sympathetic might turn off your reproductive organs. You don't need to reproduce when you're in survival mode. It's going to turn off parts of your immune system. You don't have to fight off infection if your body's not going to be there in 2 hours. So it turns off your immune system. And then, of course, it turns off digestion. So now it doesn't matter how high quality, how organic, where the cow came from, that's pasture raised, pasture finished. If you're stressed and anxious, all of the other things that you're doing to help yourself perform at your best are less relevant because the nervous system is turning off all of these processes in the body. You're no longer in maintenance mode. You're now only in survival mode.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
becomes that linchpin that when you can manage your nervous system response, you can manage your longevity, your health, your vitality, and your overall well-being.
Hmm. And that's a good point too, because it's like everything, it's a balance. And being stressed is normal. That's a normal human reaction. That's a normal human thing, especially as the stakes just keep getting higher as you grow older, right? Because
Feels that way, doesn't it?
yeah, right, when I was 14 and going to baseball practice after school and messing around with my friends and everything seems everything seems high stakes because you're 14, but in reality it's just now you look back 20 years ago for me. Well, I just turned 35 and um you're it's like laughable almost, like what my
So,
worries were at age 14,
yeah, but you still had worries, right? And
Yeah,
by the
yeah,
way,
exactly,
poo
exactly.
poo on culture for putting that amount of pressure and stress on a 14-year-old that just wants to go out and play baseball, let alone competitive
Yes.
baseball. And now you got
Hmm.
to worry about scholarships and getting into college.
Oh,
You're in
right.
ninth grade and they're already peppering you on, look, your grade on this exam is going to make a difference on what school you get into in 4 years ago. And you're like, 4 years from now, and you're like, dude, I just want to go play baseball. Like, let me go
Yeah.
have fun. Right. But
Yes.
the
Yeah, yeah.
pressure is building and building and building. Look, it's funny. Um, this weekend, birthday weekend, my wife is at a retreat right now. She gets back on Friday. Saturday's a down day, but even a down day, we've got laundry to do, clean the house, turn
Yep.
everything over, go
Hmm.
food shopping, prep food for Sunday, right? Like my wife says to me quite often, like, remember when we didn't have anything to do on a Saturday morning? Like, you remember that?
Yes. Yep.
Before
We talk about that
kids,
too. Yeah.
right? Before my daughter woke up at 6:45 and she's like, "Is it time to get up?" And I'm like, "Can't we just sleep in today?" And she closes her eyes for 7 minutes and then wakes up and goes, "Cool, is it time to get up?" And I'm like, "No, not yet. No, please." Right? But then you
Yeah.
have all these responsibilities around the house. I got to deal. I'm lucky enough to have a beautiful pool. Well, I got to change the filters. I got to check the chlorine levels. I
Yep.
gotta clean the house. I, it just feels like, to your point, life keeps lifing and stacking things up on my to-do list.
Hmm.
Even if I just want to sit down and watch TV and pardon the expression, just fuck all. And just
Yeah,
like, I can't even do that with a
just turn it
conscious
off.
anymore.
Yeah, I know. Just turn it off. And I think we need time. And I think that I've carved out time to do that after after our son Tate goes to bed, and like if I have other work things to do,
No, you're
or
supposed to be
just
sleeping
like
when
yeah,
your
yeah,
son
I
sleeps.
know, I know. But he goes to sleep, it's 7:38. We're more night owls, but like we've been trying for 10:30. But it's more of, I guess this would lead into my next thing here. Obviously we've talked about stress and recovery and the regulation of the nervous system, but why do you think why do you think so many people are struggling with that right now?
There we go. We're coming back online.
Okay. Okay. There we go. I didn't know if that was it was me or you. But no, all good. All good. Hey, we
All
handled
right. So
it.
it's a great question.
Yeah.
So to your point,
Hmm.
it's this balance, right? So I'll
Hmm.
give you a great example. Okay. Um, for the last 7 years, inHarmony has run the wellness experience at the Artist Lounge at EDC. EDC is Electric Daisy
Yep.
Carnival, if you're not familiar.
Hmm.
It's 3 nights, 175,000 people. It's 7 p.m. to 5 a.m. It is it is
Crazy.
brutal, right? It's brutal. And I got the training because I've been up all night with my kid, so I could stay up all night. But then when I get back, right? So I got 5 hours of sleep per day, Friday, Saturday, Sunday into Monday. And then Monday night, 12 hours of sleep. Tuesday night, 11 hours of sleep. Wednesday night, 9 hours of sleep. And now I feel back to normal, right? I feel good. So it's finding that balance that allows you to find your flow. And look, you tag team with your wife, kid's 18 months, probably starting to do bottles. You could probably give your wife a good night's sleep, and I'm sure you do on right
Yep.
on more than a regular occasion. She
Hmm.
might look at you and be like, "Hey, honey, why don't you sleep in the guest room? Not because I don't love you, but because I'm going to be with the baby in this room, and you go get a good night's sleep. You need
Hmm.
it. You just okay." So it's that balance of finding how you can give yourself what you need. And look, technology is just one of those things. There's plenty of time where you're like, you know what? I got a full day today, but I'm going to take time to get outside in between, right? Do all the things that
Hmm.
you need to do. So it's about finding that balance of how you can tend to your own garden, your own temple, and how you can give yourself exactly what you need in order to perform the way you need to perform.
Do you think modern lifestyles versus, maybe our parents' generation, the generation before that, do you think modern lifestyles in particular are fundamentally dysregulating people in that way? And do you think technology might have something to do with that?
I mean, the short answer is yes. Okay. Look, I sit in, I'm sitting at my desk right now. One, two, three, four, five screens that are on me. Some really bright lights that are on me, including my desk lights. These are all LEDs. They're not the
Yeah.
best thing for my system. I know that. Um, I've got LED lights all over my house. I feel very fortunate. I can change the colors. It's awesome. That's great,
Hmm.
right? Like there's a lot that we do for convenience.
Hmm.
The reality is living by candlelight is ideal, but really going to bed when the sun sets and waking when the sun rises is even better. Nobody's doing that. You just said we like to get in bed by 10:30 and not to call you out, but you're probably not sleeping until midnight, like me. Same, right? Um,
Yep.
so I think at our core, we all know what we're supposed to do. The question you asked was our parents and how they lived. Life was stressful then too, for different reasons. Okay. Um, my grandfather was born on the Lower East Side of Manhattan. My dad was born in the Bronx. I was born in New Hyde Park, Queens. And my grandfather lived on 50 cents a week.
Wow.
Let that settle in. Now, milk was 5 cents a bottle. He got one of those. Rent was 25 cents a week. Like he was in low income housing. Okay. But like there were times where that eventually moved to 50 cents a day, $1 a day, $3 a day. Like this isn't happening in Africa. This is happening in the Lower East Side of Manhattan as my grandfather, whose parents immigrated here, was just trying to figure it out. My other grandfather was a butcher and a little younger than my dad's dad, my mom's dad. He was a butcher. I was talking to my mom yesterday about refrigeration because I'm a little bit of a prepper. I have two fridges that I got on Marketplace in my garage, plus a freezer. I just bought a quarter cow. It was 90 pounds of beef, and I've
Wow.
stacked my fridges with grass pasture
There you
raised,
go.
pasture finished beef.
There you go.
Okay.
Yep.
And my mom was like, "Where are we going to put all this?" And I was like, "Don't worry about it. We'll find, we'll fit it." Right. And we did. And I was talking about like refrigeration, and she goes, that was my dad lost his fortune when refrigeration came around because he had refrigeration as the local butcher, but his clients didn't. And when he started delivering like an ice box, like an iceman used to come and deliver ice for the ice box. And if the iceman didn't come, you lost and spoiled all your food. Like, like what? Like that was life,
And we
right?
take
There
that
was
for
no air
granted.
conditioning, huh?
We take that for granted right now. Like
Completely.
completely,
Right.
completely. Yeah.
Here I am flying all over the country, speaking engagements in Florida, then in Chicago, then in Sedona, then in Oregon, then back to Vegas. And yeah, it takes a toll on me. But like when my mom was a kid and she wanted to go on vacation to Florida, they drove 24 hours in a station wagon with my aunt and uncle in the back seat from New York to Florida. That's a 24-hour drive. My grandfather basically did it nonstop and that was their vacation. So they can have more time in Florida and less time in, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and we get pissed when the Wi-Fi's out on our Southwest flight.
Yes. Yes. It's all perspective. It's all perspective, Craig. It's absolutely true.
But like through talking to these generations, you asked a great question. Like, do you think it was
Mhm.
different? It was just different stressors. It was just a different life. I'm very fortunate to live with my mom and dad, and have then have access to my daughter and grandchildren. They moved from New York to Vegas in July, and I get to sit down and have these conversations with my parents as they watch my crazy ass lifestyle and people coming in and out of the house and all the things that are happening here, and they see why I don't call them every day because I blink, I wake up and I blink and it's time to go to bed. And then like it's 11 o'clock at night here. It's 2 o'clock in the morning on the East Coast. I'm sorry I didn't call my parents. And I get to ask them questions about what it was like when they were younger. And there wasn't nearly the volatility that we have in our household. There wasn't nearly the technology or the conversations. They see what I do with a good mic when it wants to work and Zoom when it's working and a good internet connection. Thank you, Starlink. It's just a different world, right? I mean, I remember even when I was starting my career 25 years ago, I was 19 years old, working full time, 27 years ago, 28 years ago. And the only access to media was actually going to the studio, actually being on the Today Show in the morning and actually being on that studio. And now I can broadcast. We get 1.5 million views every 30 days on the content that we create from this device right here in this office or wherever else I want to be for that matter. So to your point that you asked before of like, what do you think has changed between 5 years ago, 15 years ago, and now as far as taking health and wellness into your own hands? Right now, we've got influencers all over Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. They're telling you about health and wellness hacks and tricks that we never would have heard of aside from word of mouth if you lived
Mhm.
next door to somebody or knew somebody who went to China to study Chinese medicine or went to India to study Ayurveda.
It's amazing.
Now we have access in our pockets for what they call micro learning. That doom scrolling, by the way, is micro learning. It's
Micro
not doom
learning. I like that.
scrolling.
I
It's
like that. I'm
micro
gonna start
learning, right?
using.
You're
I'm
learning,
stealing that. I'm stealing that, Craig.
right? So
Yeah.
like, but like, think of the webinars that we have access to, the
Hmm.
knowledge base that we have access to in any genre that you want. How often there's a guy on Instagram, I'm a big DIY, do it yourself guy.
Hmm.
And there's a guy that's like that watches these videos with him on it, and it's basically like how to when you've got a screw that's loose, you can put toothpicks in the screw and then screw in the screw, and he's like, oh, what the shut up, that doesn't work. And then he goes and he tests it and it works. And I'm like, cool, I just learned a new thing on how to plug a tire or plug a nail. I got 3 screws in my house that I'm going to go try that on. And by gosh, it works, right? Putting a wooden toothpick in a freaking screw hole to make the screw hole smaller and that screw stays. We have this unbelievable amount of knowledge at our fingertips that allows us to optimize our performance every single day that we never had before. And that's in every facet of life, let alone health and wellness. Peptides are a big story right now. Exosomes, stem cells, red light therapy. Fuck, I'm one of these guys that's online talking about the power of sound and vibration, getting access to 1.5 million people every 30 days that I never would have been able to do 10 years ago.
It really is amazing.
It's a beautiful world.
The outreach, and obviously AI is helping with that too. Um, as far as one thing that caught my attention is the focus on the frequency and the vibration-based wellness technologies, right? I actually have experience with it's like a mat called the Centropics Cloud, and
Sure.
there's a
Yeah,
beamer,
cloud. Yep,
the beamer
yep.
too. I've been my wife and I have been using that. My mom was actually a like a distributor for a short time for Beamer, and it
Perfect.
actually makes a big difference. So I
It really
just
does.
like, and you again probably know all about that, but it like for the
How deep? How deep you want to go,
relax,
bro?
right?
Let's go.
So well, I'm just saying for the relax component of the Centropics Cloud, like you lay on it, 15 minutes later, I like I'll get up to brush my teeth or whatever, and I'm like, wow, like I'm like very relaxed right now, like more relaxed than I would have been taking melatonin or whatever the case is. So I I can feel the value of it and what it
I'm
does. I mean,
excited.
yeah.
I'm
So like
excited for you to
yeah,
feel sound and vibration if you like that. Okay, so let's just talk
yes,
about not any of these specific companies, but let's just talk about their
yes.
technology, which is PEMF, pulsed electromagnetic field therapy.
Hmm.
Why is that even a thing? All right. So it goes back to the mid 1940s and a guy with the last name Schumann who discovered the Schumann resonance. Okay. Um, Turns out the Earth has a magnetic field. We're familiar with that, right? Obviously, you've got the north, the right true north, and then you got the magnetic north and why compasses
Hmm.
work, and that's a whole other thing. But there's also magnetic fields when we're outside, and your body is basically a big antenna, constantly picking up on and resonating with different frequencies that we're presented with. So what Schumann discovered in the mid 1940s and 50s is that there's something called the Schumann resonance, 7.83 hertz. It fluctuates. It's not exact. It goes as low as 5 and it goes as high as 40, depending on. Now there's all sorts of trackers online. I don't know if I believe them, but nonetheless, the Schumann resonance. I used to think that it was a magnetic frequency that came from the center of the Earth. That's not true. The way that it comes from is at any given time in the world, there are 2,000 thunderstorms on the surface of the Earth. Every second, there's about 50 lightning strikes from the ionosphere to the ground. Each one of those lightning strikes, electromagnetic energy, radiates a frequency. Once the frequency is irradiated, it does not disappear. It simply bonds to and aligns with the same frequency to create a bigger wave. And what Schumann discovered was this electromagnetic wave that is generated off of lightning strikes, and they call it the Schumann resonance. But that magnetic field we need access to. So in the 1940s, Schumann took a bunch of male college students and he put them into an old World War II bunker underneath the ground where there was no measurable Schumann resonance. And he kept them down there for weeks on end. And after a few days, they began showing these really common symptoms common cold, fever, memory loss, decreasing cognitive ability. A lot of the brain fog symptoms that we would have each and every day, they started showing. And without warning and without telling the students, he would put what now is called a Schumann resonator in the corner and turn it on. It's just a little device that generated an electromagnetic field at 7.83 hertz. He would turn it on, and instantaneously their symptoms would go away.
Wow.
So, as it turns out, we need access to the Schumann resonance because your body, which is a big antenna, which by the way, you don't pick up on inside, which by the way, with all the interference and electromagnetic energy that we have on land, you can no longer detect the Schumann resonance on land. You have to go out over the ocean in order to detect it. So why does PEMF work? PEMF works by generating a field that the body can resonate with to bring you back to your natural harmonics. 7.83 hertz. It's actually a little higher than that in my research. 10 hertz is what's called a resonant frequency for the human body in my research. I have a whole talk that I do on this, by the way.
Yeah.
It's up on the web. You can find it.
Okay.
But,
Okay.
so we need access to it. So your body is a big antenna. You're constantly coming into and out of harmonic resonance with the frequencies that you're presented with. And unfortunately, all of that is in the gigahertz and megahertz frequency range of Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. And I'm not an EMF naysayer. That's not my world. But I do think that it's important for us to present the body with those frequencies. Now, electromagnetic energy and sound waves have an inverse relationship to each other. It's not one-to-one. So 40 hertz with an electromagnetic PEMF is not equal and directly correlated to 40 hertz of sound therapy. There is a relationship there, but it's not direct one-to-one. When you lay down on my technology, you're basically laying in the field of sound and vibration, but it's the physical vibration with vibroacoustic therapy that sends a message to the body telling it to relax. When you lay on the beamer, if you have that thing cranked up to a 10 intensity, I can feel it. I can feel the tick, tick, tick. The beamer has, the beamer signal is 1,200 oscillations per minute, and they fluctuate between 10 hertz and 30 hertz. It's a very specific patented signal.
Mm-hmm.
Cloud has their, right? They all have their own. Now,
Mm-hmm.
here's the thing with PEMF. There are a million quadrillion different signals that you can send. That's 31 zeros as far as the potential. There's a square wave versus a triangle wave versus a sawtooth wave, and then all the infinite frequencies. By the way, frequency is not just a full integer. There's 4 hertz and there's 4.5 hertz. There's 4.58 hertz. There's 4.59999 hertz.
So that's why there's so many zeros. Okay.
So there's so many different signals. Now,
Yeah.
what I like about Beamer is that they've sold 1 million or 2 million of those things, and they all have the same signal. You're just changing the intensity of it.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some value in that. But Cloud has their own signal. My friends at My Align Mat have their signal. And of course, many of them push out 7.83 hertz because of the work that Schumann did, 60, 70, 80 years ago.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Because I knew, the PMF on a very basic level, and I knew it makes me feel good. But that was a great, little segment on it. And I mean, it works. There's no doubt because I've used both of them. Personally,
I'm in the process. I don't normally talk about this, but it's probably 12 to 18 months out. But I'm in the process of harmonizing sound with PEMF, triggering our transducers through a PEMF signal, and aligning and harmonizing. There's no technology out there that has done this yet. There are other companies that do sound and PEMF together. They're all missing the mark, and they're all sending, in my opinion, a disharmonious signal to the body, and I don't recommend PEMF and sound at the same time. Before or after, absolutely, but not at the same time, because nobody has harmonized and done what we're trying to do. There's no patents, there's no knowledge, there's no nothing, and I'm pretty close to patenting it and getting that all done. But
that's awesome.
PEMF, sound, hydrogen, oxygen, oxyhydrogen therapy, which is just in the inhalation of, of hydrogen and oxygen gas, and red light therapy. And not just red light, but near infrared and color therapy. Chromiotherapy is the broader, or photobiomodulation is the word. So we're in the process of working on this beautiful machine that's going to be the least expensive. We've found it by going out and buying all these modalities together, but creating an experience that truly rejuvenates the body. I have a lot of visions and a lot of things that I want to talk about, but I don't like talking about anything until it's actually in my warehouse ready to ship. So we'll have to do this again later.
Yeah, we'll table it. But I like where your head's at. obviously, so there's a massive intersection forming between wellness, wearable data, and AI. And I'm just wondering, I mean, where do you think this is headed as far as, do you think that the technology is helping people become more self-aware, or overwhelming them? Like how do you think AI plays into what we've discussed so far?
All right, let's take this conversation in two parts. First, wearables and data, and then we'll get into AI. I
Perfect,
love these
perfect.
topics. Do you wear a Whoop or an Aura ring, or
I don't.
have you
I
ever?
don't. I know people that do. I do not.
Okay. So I wore a Whoop for 3 months. I wasn't that impressed with it. Whoops,
Okay.
I slipped. I wasn't that impressed with it. If you're a data hound and you're in the gym 7 days a week and you're looking for peak performance and you're looking at your HRV on a regular basis, blessings. You're going to love these devices, and I think they're great. If you're a normal guy like me that has way too much going on over the course of the day to check another app, to look at something, I wear an Apple Watch. I'm not afraid of wearing technology, although
Hmm.
I do think these mess with your biorhythm and
Hmm.
the bioelectronics of the body. That's a whole other
Yep.
conversation. I use AirPods, right?
Hmm. I
Um,
know. Me too. Unfortunately.
look, I think the body's resilient, right? Do I
Hmm.
think you're frying the brain? Yeah, I try not to wear these all day long. You're wearing them now for an hour, then you're going to take them off, and your body's going to bounce back. Look, um, I don't need a Whoop to tell me that I got a bad night's sleep last night. I know I got a bad night's sleep last night. I don't even want to be reminded of it. I just want to move on, take a nap,
Yep.
and power through, right?
Yep. Yep.
And that's how it felt to me when I was wearing that data. Um, look, I love the data collection, and I think for the people that want to look at it, I think it's very promising. I think even more, I don't have any chronic ailments or issues. Um, I don't even wake up with aches and pains anymore thanks to peptides. That's a whole other conversation. But like, I feel great. I sleep great at night. Even when my daughter wakes me up, I feel rejuvenated and recharged. If I don't feel great, I go back to bed. I'm at a point in my life where I've discovered and unlocked the key to managing my own schedule. And if I got to clear my schedule so that I can rest, I do it. I try not to wait
Good
until I'm
for you.
feeling sick or my immune
Hmm.
system's underrun, right? I got
Hmm.
12 hours of sleep on Monday night, 11 hours on Tuesday, and I got 9 hours last night. And I was up this morning at 6, and I get to roll over and cuddle with my daughter, who went, "Daddy, I want to cuddle." And I went, "I want to cuddle with you. Let's do it." And I woke up at 8 to my buddy Ben calling, who was like, is one of my best friends, and I'm usually up at least 7. And he was like, "Oh my God, I woke you up." And I was like, "Yeah, but it's all good. It's 8 o'clock. I got to get up anyway." He was like, "Oh, go back to bed." Anyway, look, I'm very fortunate to know when I need, because I feel it. We all have the inner compass. We all know when we're run down. We all know when we're pushing ourselves, need to create boundaries and say no to people. Like, I got too much going on the dance card. I don't need an app to tell me. But for those that are fighting a disease, dis-ease, or trauma, or, look, I do function health. I get blood work twice a year. It's 135 biomarkers. I get a lot of information from that, but that's enough information for me. If I had digestive issues, I would do Biome, and right? We have access to all this incredible data. I think it's all great when you're looking at it and when you have a trained eye that's looking at it. Function Health has the clinician notes, which again are built around the American Medical Association
Hmm.
best practices and ranges, which hold their own weight to me by itself. So look, I think the data that we're looking at is fantastic, especially if you need it or if you have something that you're working through. I think it's awesome. Now, you brought up AI. I still remember we have a 30-person team that helps us do what we do here at inHarmony, fully
Hmm.
vertically integrated, international logistics, marketing, partnerships, right? All the different things. And I remember it was November of 2022, and I called up Sergio, he runs a company called I Love Google Ads, and they run all of my ads in paid social and have for the last 5 years. And I was like, "Hey man, what are you working on?" We were talking about some, what was going on with our ads and creating new content, blah blah blah, normal conversation. And I could tell he was a little off, and I was like, "Are you all right?" And he was like, "No, I'm a little preoccupied." And I said, "Well, what's going on?" Because, he's on the tip of the spear of a lot of stuff when it comes to paid social. And he goes, "Trying to figure out how AI is not going to take my job." That was in November of 2022. ChatGPT 2.0 just came out, and it was still by invite only. And he goes, "Have you seen ChatGPT?" And I was like, "I heard about it, but no, I haven't seen it." He goes, "I'm going to send you an invite." And you got to ask it some questions. And I asked it about vibroacoustic therapy, and I asked it about, I was blown away. Like, I've spent the better part of, at the time, 6 years learning and reading and understanding vibroacoustic therapy and digesting it so that I could reiterate it and talk about it. And in a very quick conversation, it got to the brass nuts of bolts of what this was all about, and I was blown away. Now we're on ChatGPT 5, 6 might have come out. I haven't checked. Now you got Anthropic and you got all Gemini, right? I've been hearing for more than 2 years that in 2 years, AI is going to take my job. Hasn't happened yet. And by the way, Sergio still runs my ads, so it hasn't happened for
Good,
Sergio.
good, good for
Right?
Sergio.
I love Sergio. He's awesome. And now I have an entire team dedicated to integrating AI across my entire company, operations, manufacturing, global logistics, so that we can maximize and leverage the intelligence that is in these large learning models so that we can be better at what we do. But it hasn't replaced me yet. By the way, neither is HeyGen, neither is 11 Labs, neither is all these things that we want to, but it hasn't. We do produce a lot of our content using AI, but a human being for like an hour still has to take what AI created and polish it to make it what we want, So it can help with editing videos, but it still doesn't get it perfect. We use Opus Clips, and when this thing goes live, I'm going to take this in a transcript, I'm going to put it in Opus Clips, and it's going to give me some clips, and we're going to post those, and that's great.
Awesome.
It's helping, but it's still not there. And I'm not fear-mongering into what I think it'll be. I don't even know if I'll get a robot when they come out.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want one of those around, right? Like, I think just humans in my household. I don't know, that's how I feel about it now.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah,
everybody's going to have an Optimus Prime, and Elon's right. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, right. No, I think it is how I feel about it, I think, is, you know, I think the goal and the fear rightfully among humans is that it's going to take our jobs because it's smarter than us. But
But
I
it isn't.
think, but right, right. Well,
It
I
might
think that's the
be. Maybe
stigma.
at one point it will be. I don't know.
Right, that's the stigma. It's more book smart than us, but it's not more street smart, But anyways, I think that
So
I think that
I'm street smart. My wife is book smart.
yeah,
And
right.
you take us into New York and Manhattan, and you give us an obstacle course and something to do, and we'll see who comes out on top. And it's some book smarts, it's some street smarts, it's a blend of both.
Yeah, right. But I think that it's optimizing efficiency in the way that humans work and can make we'll be able to make humans work more efficiently, not necessarily take their jobs or replace them. And that's the hope. Maybe that's a wishful thinking, but I do
Look,
think that, yeah, yeah,
the people I'm looking to hire right now are the people that know how to leverage AI. So I'm
right.
still looking to hire humans, right? Look, app developers probably have something to worry about, right?
Hmm.
Like there's certainly certain subsets but you still need a human that's piggybacking that can
Hmm.
quarterback it and run it, right?
Right.
Look,
Exactly.
you're in Chicago. They got Waymo,
Not yet, but it's coming soon.
got Uber, right? Uber
Y-
and Teslas that drive
mm,
themselves.
Yep.
Whether you know it or not, you're on the road, sharing the road with somebody that's probably using a
Yeah.
Tesla in its full,
Yeah.
like that's scary. But apparently, it's got a lower error rate than humans. So
Y-
maybe that's better. I'll tell you this: I'm teaching my daughter how to drive a car, and I'm
Yep.
teaching her how to drive stick shift. Like
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I think that, it's not it's the goal, I would say, in the best case scenario is that it just enhances and, makes everything operationally more efficient for professional and personal lives. I think that would be best case. But yeah, I mean, is it going to replace drivers? Maybe. But
maybe
and I think that's insane that they're already saying that it's more that there's less, you know, um, error than humans on the road. I don't know, like maybe they've been doing this for longer than I thought, but the fact that they would say that they have enough data to say that, maybe I'm wrong. But as far as you, Craig, you've built a pretty, pretty strong brand in a pretty unique category here. What have been some of the biggest challenges in scaling a wellness focused business for you, in the past several years?
where do I even begin? Um, it's a great question. I mean, look,
Thank you.
being an entrepreneur and running a business, it's literally like getting kicked in the nuts every single day on purpose and just being like, that's cool, next. That's cool, next. Right? Like, look, I'm an international brand with international logistics. I have an expensive product to produce that I want to be less expensive retail, but I've got margins and marketing and budget, and I have to sustain the business. I'm not greedy. I'd really do this because I'm passionate about it and I want more people to have access to the technology, but
Mhm.
there's just a minimum price that I can charge for it that covers our expenses and allows us to grow. Investing in that growth, like I need hardware. I brought in 10 containers of finished product last year. And I strive to stay in stock ahead of, right? So I'm already placing my orders to replenish. I'm probably 9 months between when I place an order to buy transducers and amplifiers, manufacture them until it's in my warehouse ready to sell to turn into revenue. Um, that's a challenge. Creating content to keep up with and compete with everything else there on social media is a challenge. Um, Sharing with people that what we do is a real thing and that there's really benefit, which is why the science and the research side is so important to us. Um, there's obviously always going to be naysayers out there, and I love them, and they're wonderful, and they give me an opportunity to prove ourselves every single day, which is great. But just growing a company, dealing with employees and our team and the human capital, managing our cash flow and managing the uncertainty of when sales are going to come in and what cash flow looks like. There's a lot of challenges that go into building what we build every single day. And I feel honored to be doing it with the team. We have an incredible team. I mean that, an incredible team for customer service, tech support, operations, manufacturing, international logistics. I feel very lucky to be able to work with the people that we work with, shipping, logistics, last mile shipping, warehousing to our customers in the well-oiled machine that Shopify is, into my warehousing technology. I feel very lucky, and there's a challenge around every door. In product that is delayed, in manufacturing mistakes which happen. I mean, customer service, tech support. I feel like we have the greatest customers. They're so sympathetic, empathetic, and compassionate to what's going on. And of course, we stand behind our product. And my phone number is literally at the top of my website. Ring this phone. You go to my website, I am inHarmony.com. There's a phone number at the top with my extension. It rings this phone in real time, and you can call anytime, day or night, weekday or weekend, and I do my best to answer. I feel like there's very few entrepreneurs and business owners that do that, and very few companies that do that. I have a team that works 9 to 6 Pacific and East Coast during the week, and I answer the phone. Everything routes back to my phone over the weekend. And I answer, "Hey, this is Craig." They're like, "What? Like Craig, like the Craig?" I'm like, "Yeah, this is Craig. How can I help?" They're like, "You answer the phone?" And I'm like, "Yeah. Who else is going to do it? My employee's not going to do it. I'm not going to pay an employee 24/7 to answer the phones. So I do it, and I love to do it. How can I help?"
That's great. That's great. And that is rare. And you know that too. Very rare and a great touch. Great touch. I mean, as far as, how do you think where this is going, right? How do you think consumer behavior around health and wellness changes over the next 10 years? Or is it just going to keep kind of going the same route that it's going right now? I mean, it's hard to tell, but you're obviously in it every day. What would you say?
Look, this would be a great opportunity for me to tell you all the amazing things that I'm working on in my innovations pipeline, but I can't.
Yeah,
But
fine,
I can tell
fine.
you that these are the conversations that we're having behind closed doors. And let me talk in some generalities instead of
Hmm.
some
Yes.
specificities about what we're working on. But um, I can tell you that inHarmony is going to revolutionize the way we sleep at night, the way we rejuvenate, the way we restore, and the way we um, and I mean, we're literally going to redefine sleep and what that means, which is my big vision for the next 10 years and where this is going, because it's going to take me that long to bring to market the vision that we have and the innovations that we want to bring together. It's a very beautiful thing for me to see that. On a broader landscape, I think you're going to see more and more human beings taking responsibility for their own well-being, for their own maintenance mode, and for their own lifestyle. I think we're going to see a major shift in food and the quality of the food that's available to us. We're already starting to see that with the Maha movement. Again, love or hate the administration. You got to love what RFK is doing. Again, a lot of people don't, And that's because of misconceptions in the mainstream media, which I think is out to shit on them in a very real way. But they are
Agreed.
making
Yep.
really big strides on the food table and getting dyes out of our food. And I mean, it's one win after another in my book. We've been talking about this for the better part of the last 15 years, my wife and I, how to live a healthy life, how to actually rid yourself of toxic load. I think we're going to learn a lot about parasites and cleansing. I think we're going to learn a lot about what's in the air being sprayed on us on a regular basis that's detrimental to our health. And I think overall, we are going to see longevity extend. The work of Dr. David Sinclair, the work of Peter Diamandis and what he's doing with the X Prize. I think there are unbelievable shining lights that are doing incredible things for our overall longevity and health and wellness. And those people are going to be brought to the limelight, and those people are going to be shown and overpower the darkness that that has really run our lives for the part of the last 40 years. Um, so I am unbelievably optimistic on what's happening from a health and wellness perspective, and the tools, the micro learning, the education that we're going to be provided on how to live a healthy life, and then given the tools to do that. That includes building materials, quality of the air and the water that we drink. I mean, there's just a ton of upgrades that need to happen from governments down first, because that's the regulation and the regulatory body. But it's going to start with a grassroots movement, which has already happened through humans and civilians that speak up and vote with their dollars, that tell people what they want to invest in, hopefully like companies like inHarmony, Beamer,
Hmm.
Cloud, right, with these different technologies, but hopefully putting wind in my sail to do what I need to do better, and to bring products that are high quality, that are really making a difference in the world. And I'm just one of hundreds, if not millions, of entrepreneurs that want to do the same thing all around the world. And I only see that becoming more and more prevalent and more available. And by the way, at a lower and lower price. I would
Yeah.
much rather do more volume at a lower price to make my margins work.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. And that's a great, obviously that's music to any consumer's ears, right? But I also, we understand, everyone understands the life of an entrepreneur and what goes into that, and, paying those bills, right? I think that, one thing that I'm seeing across healthcare and wellness businesses, a lot of companies, have incredible products. Some of them, struggle to build, scalable systems around growth and education and, customer acquisition. From your perspective, how important is that infrastructure piece especially in today's market where it's more convoluted?
Look, it's interesting. I remember when we were manufacturing these in Mexico, crossing them over the border ourselves, accessorizing boxes through Parts Express, a wholesale distributor of amplifiers, cables, and connectors, very similar to Amazon, but wholesale pricing. And I was boxing these myself and shipping them off to our customers. And five a month was a big month, and we would celebrate, 25, $30,000 in revenue. Now I'm doing that every day, and it's fully automated. And I've got a 15-person team that helps me get the message out and to talk about what we're doing. We're posting twice a day on 5 platforms. And we do that through scheduling software, high level, right? Like, again, we just have tools available to us today that we didn't have 5 years ago,
Hmm.
and or 2 years ago. And AI is absolutely helping us with content creation. It's absolutely helping us with, look, I got an AI bot on my website. Here's the thing that I think is really important. Another thing that we do differently that other people don't do, and I've got about 5 minutes before I got to
Hmm.
wrap up.
Yep, yep.
Anytime we use a digital asset, an AI or an agent, they introduce themselves as Digital Craig. So we created this persona of Digital Craig that if you go on my homepage right now, in the bottom right corner, you'll see a cartoon image of me. And you click on it, it says, hey, I'm Digital Craig, Craig's digital assistant. How can I help? Here's some of the things that I can do. You're talking to an AI bot that's been trained on all my podcasts, on all of our science and research data, on all of my literary reviews and published writings, on all the science and research in vibroacoustic therapy, 1,400 studies. Hopefully he gets the right answer. He doesn't always. And we monitor that pretty closely. So I think it's really important that I tell people when you're talking to human Craig and when you're talking to digital Craig. And a lot of people aren't doing that. And a lot of people have absolutely no idea that some of the conversations are that good that they're actually talking on the phone with AI, not a real person.
All
Remarkable.
right. Yeah, that no, that really is remarkable. That you can feed digital Craig everything that you've ever done, from a content perspective, and it just kind of is able to absorb it and then regurgitate
So,
what. Yeah.
so you asked me before what one of the biggest challenges is, and
Hmm.
and this is not an egotistical thing that I'm saying, but the biggest
Hmm.
challenge has been duplicating myself in the business.
Right.
I've been living this for 10 years. I've put tens of thousands of people on our technology, whether it's at trade shows or events or paid sessions as a certified vibroacoustic therapy practitioner. I've worked with all sorts of different diseases. I've worked with medical clinics. I've worked with large medical institutions. Um, my experience is, and that knowledge that's in my head, it's really challenging for me to hire a salesperson or a staff or somebody that can come on board. And when they do, I, can you listen to 200 podcasts that I've recorded? Yeah, I can.
Yeah.
And over the last 2 years, I've had an entire team dedicated to training AI and agents and leveraging AI. One of the first things that we did was we transcript all my podcasts and loaded them into a knowledge base. We transcript my literary review, two of them, and we uploaded it. My 48-page review that my scientific advisory did of my website saying what we can and can't say based on FDA language and claims, we dumped that in there. So we now have agents that, yeah, on paper, they have that book smart, and now they're actually starting to develop that street smart that I have as well. And it's beautiful to watch. It's not there yet, and we
Yeah.
still keep close tabs. Dude, I had an AI agent that we released into our comment and DMs on Instagram. And before I know it, it was having a conversation, giving away free product for a collaboration with an influencer that had 750,000 followers that wanted to do an open box video. And he was like, "Yeah, what's your address? We love open box videos. We'll send it to you tomorrow. Don't worry about it." And I'm like, "No, we don't do that. No, you can't do that. No." Right. So like AI goes off the rails quite often. And it's not there yet.
Right, right. No, and I'll respect your time, Craig. I really appreciate you taking the time today. This was a great conversation.
I'd love to
Truly.
come back and do it again if you'll have me. This
Yes,
was
no,
wonderful.
absolutely. I'd love to do part two because again, we could talk about some of these things for a long